Welcome back, YouTube, to Slim's Automotive Repair Channel. Today we have a 2006 Ford Taurus with a spongy brake pedal. The man brought it in, wanted me to bleed it up, see if that would get his pedal back, and unfortunately it did not. He asked me to put new pads on it. I did as I was asked. I put new pads. It still didn't solve his problem. I finally had him break down. He wanted to pay to diag it, so here we are. I diagnosed the problem and the issue to this wheel cylinder back here, the right rear. And let's get this camera up so you can go ahead and see what exactly this problem was. As you can see, all this goo, all this nastiness is signs of a leaking wheel cylinder. It bubbled up all the rubber, all the paint. I've already cleaned some of it off just so we can get an idea of what was going on. You can see all that fluid. And what's going on is as that fluid pumps out, you let that pedal go, it's drawing air back into the system. Yeah, that's man, that's quite luxurious there. Holy cow, you see it's wet on one side right there with that seal that's leaking. And on this side, not so much, as evident by the self-adjusting slack adjuster is dry. So today what we're going to do is change that out, and then we're going to bleed up the system and see if we can't get this gentleman back on the road and able to stop better than he is. Because man, this is a tragedy, if I get my words right, a tragedy waiting to happen if we don't get this fixed. So what you're going to need is your 13mm wrench. Nice. If you got a line wrench, that's even better. Working with brake lines, you always want to try to use a line wrench whenever possible to get that best grip. And what I'm doing back here is when I loosen this up, the only thing that holds this sucker on is a brake line. A brake line that goes through this backing plate and screws in right there. And then your bleeder up on top doesn't really hold nothing, but that's going to have to come out as well before we go ahead and put the new part in. And of course you're going to want to line up your notches right there with your brake shoes, but we'll get to that in a minute. So what we're going to do is come back here and let's see if we can get the camera to slide back there, and I'll show you exactly what we're doing. Is this line right there is going to have to come off, and there's your bleeder. That is going to come off as well. And then we're going to have to go ahead and slide it out. We're going to have to separate those shoes to get the whole unit out. So let's set the camera back up right there. And we're just going to give it some turns. Hopefully nobody's been in here yet and cross-threaded this thing. I don't think they have, but you never know when you're coming back behind something this old, what anyone's ever done to it. Worst case scenario, you're going to have something cross-threaded. You're going to need to put on a new brake line, which is a pain in the rear end. And so far this one feels alright. Thankfully it's not seized up. That would be worst case scenario. I know I show a lot of videos on here on brake jobs. I promise you I do more than just brake jobs here, but again, that seems to be the favorite job around this place where we're located. A lot of brakes. Yep, we're starting to show fluid. Man, this is just nasty. This is real nasty. This sucker's been leaking for a while. Going to keep turning. Yeah, that thing goes in deep. And generally, you're also going to want to get a pair of vice grips and pinch off your hose right there, but you're going to come on a little bit back where you got a little bit more flexibility. That way you don't dump out a bunch of brake fluid either, unless you're trying to flush the system, which in that case it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you never run that master cylinder dry. That reservoir, you run that dry, man, you in some trouble. Thankfully, this vehicle does not have an ABS block, and you don't need the scan tool to bleed anything, just some good old gravity. Handy dandy brake bleeding tool, suction tool helps out a lot. And a power seat also helps out if you trying to do this solo. So I think we're coming to the end of our line there. We're going to go ahead and grab a small pry bar and just give it a little tug, and it still don't want to come out. Man. Yep, she's still in there. So let's see what else we're going to need. Now I think this bleeder screw back here is going to be, I want to say a 12 millimeter, but I'm not sure yet. Nope, I lied to you. The bleeder screw is a 10 millimeter. So we can go ahead and take that out. Just like that. Set that off to the side. And then give it a little pop, and it still don't want to come and cooperate with us, which is a bummer. So we're going to take the line loose from here so we don't kink out the metal line that we got going. Unfortunately, there is no quicker way to do this. There ain't no power tools, special tools. It's one of them old-timey grab a wrench and do it. There we go. There's the line come off nice and neat. What we're going to do is drain the fluid out of it, set it off to the side, just like that. Now that wheel cylinder should be, I'm going to say, good to go. So let's get our pry bar back in there, pull the shoe away a little bit, give it a little persuasion here. Man, she just stuck on there, man. And I guess it would help too if I remove the bolts that are holding it in too. There's going to be 2 bolts holding it in. They look to be 8 millimeters, so let's go get one of them real quick. And while we're at it, we went ahead and grabbed a pair of vice grips. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, not start here, but just a little bit further back on the brake line. And we're going to pinch it off. Keep the fluid from spilling out completely. And I got me a customer that pulled up, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to end it here, deal with that. And I'll be back to you in the next one. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next.